I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Nicholas Semrad and the Lesson GK. That's like New York walking music right there. I can have my headphones just walk through downtown to that groove. That groove is so tight. You were so awesome. Anyway, okay. So I gotta, amazing. And anyway, so Nick, tell us a little about yourself. Where you from?
Well, I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Nebraska, and And I ventured later on in life to Brooklyn, where I lived around here for about 5 years, and now I'm in Los Angeles. So I'm hitting every weather zone that I possibly can.
And then, so, I mean, in Nebraska, I mean, clearly you are definitely into the African-American musical traditions. And Nebraska, Omaha actually has a pretty good hip-hop scene and R&B scene.
It's decent, yeah. I was lucky because I was in a place where there wasn't a ton of culture. Sorry, Nebraskans, they'll hate me for saying that. But my parents, my dad recorded with a lot of Motown artists back in the day, and kind of grew up in that hang. And so I was exposed to a lot of really great music, soul music and R&B music early on. And just kind of stuck with me. And Nebraska kind of had a weird thing because I grew up in that, but Nebraska is kind of known for its indie rock as of lately. So I kind of had to learn how to pretend to be a guitar player on this thing. And so I got some tricks of the trade by being able to mesh the R&B I was getting at home with the nerdy indie rock tricks that I was being forced to do to work.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one question, Nick. I mean, you use quite a few of the controls on the MODX, and I think you use the instrument in a very unique way. It gives you like a very unique voice. I've never heard anyone else having this kind of tone and this kind of all these little fluctuations that you have in your sound. I really love that. I think that many people would agree with me and wonder, how do you do this? How does the MODX help you do this? Is it like the controls you use see that you use quite a few controls right there.
Yeah, well, I take my cue from actual sound designers like Richard, who can really get in and be able to, he was talking about being able to automate things, via his records and on stage via his performances. And a lot of the music that I play, especially in R&B, is improvisational. And so I can't pre-automate because the band may go somewhere else. So I kind of have to be in a point to where I can think like a producer and think, okay, what would I do on this track that's happening right now that I didn't get to plan for?
That's the thing. It's a very produced sound. It sounds like it's a record like somebody spent a lot of time in a DAW doing automation.
Sure.
All those things. You do quite a bit of side chaining.
Yeah, a lot of side chaining tricks. A lot of the electronic music and hip hop that I listen to is almost overly side chained, and so I like to be able to do that. Again, it's something to where if you're kind of pre-planning the situation, you can either set your attack or do the old synth trick of setting the attack to a quarter note or something like that. And in my situation, I have to react to whatever he's doing or whatever the drummer's doing. So I have to be able to do it really rhythmically, and it may change at any moment. So what I'm doing on the MODX is that I'm actually, this bottom key is a kick drum that you're not hearing, and the kick drum is cueing. So as long as I can hear what the kick drum's doing, I can just play it.
Yeah.
And
you may be hearing the laughter of Bad Mister, because we know that kick drum. That is such a cool. I can hear you back there going, yeah. It's great.
Yeah,
it's great. It's so killer. that's one of the things that it's you know, using that, but you also you have your assignables.
Yeah. So I take advantage of every glitchy one-off I can possibly do. So I have the sidechain things. You know, I use a lot of people use mod wheel for cutoff or LFO speed. I usually use it for a volume control that I can interact with the pitch bend, you know, really easily, because you can take a Rhodes sound that is, you know, all things considered, it sounds great, but is very just regular. You know, a lot of people are just going to play it, and I can take that thing and make it very vocal or pedal steely, you know. Especially if it's really verbed out. So I can sneak that in, and especially using the super knob to kind of do a wet dry mix on the verb, I can get out of it really quick, which is that kind of automation. Like, you want something you can chop really quickly. And then I'm taking, you know, especially on this board, I'm taking full advantage of, if I don't want to have to do the chaining myself, I can come up here and just
Envelope.
Changing the attack. And,
yeah. So I mean, there's just really so many, you know, little tricky things. I use the assignables on the piano for, it's kind of a weird, it jumps the pitch up. So I can do these licks where it makes me sound like I'm way better than I am. Pro tip, don't practice, use knobs.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, boy, that just
It's
occurs
like
to me that you really got to work on your chops.
I know.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay.
It's like the piano. It's the piano hammer-on.
Yeah.
So.
You know, the other thing I noticed too, and you sort of alluded to it, and you definitely talk about it in we have a 3-minute video that you'll see later on, not today, but I think going forward. But we have this other video that you eventually will watch. And one of the things that you say in there is, you know, the idea of having that producer sound live and being able to sound like a produced track. The one thing that really blows my mind, if you guys can hear this, that long shimmer reverb that he's got on there, it sounds, the reverb itself, we have really great DSP in this instrument, and that sound, and then you cut it, that.
Well, and I would
That's
do a lot of
amazing.
tricks, like where I would play
with the side chain.
Yeah.
you know, and that
Yeah,
a lot of that comes, you know, this board lets something happen very easily that kind of made my career, and I give full credit to the Lesson GK guys back here, where when I first moved to New York and started hanging out with them, you realize how many amazing players there are. I mean, especially in a city like this, it's like every apartment building has 10 like Juilliard grads, you know. So you have to really get to the point to where you're just like, okay, what am I going to do to separate myself? And you know, if it's all going to be practicing, then man, I got to practice 10 hours a day or something crazy. But I started to find out that my love was in records and really interesting production and things like that. And so, you know, I would get just enough of that to where I could kind of complement this with effects and knob turns, you know, and so I'm not just reliant on this half or this half. I'm really trying to take advantage of both, and this board gives me, it's basically a pedal board. I mean, at any one point I can do something and then just go in over here for about 5 minutes and not have to.
It sounds so organic. That's the thing. That's what I really like. It sounds like it's a real instrument. It's not like something that you just load a preset and that's it.
Yeah, well, and really that was part of the competition thing, is that, you know, a lot of the people who were really going in like this, you know, we're learning on pianos, which is, you know, that's a whole thing, and that's amazing. But, you know, I had to use every weapon I had.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I just learned to take full advantage of every knob and every dial, and you know, thankfully this thing gives me a bunch of options on every knob and every dial. So
you truly
it turns a piano into a weapon, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's totally amazing. So, you know, I know that you have, because I've already listened to it a lot, because I already got it. He has a new record I guess it's out. It's been out about a week or so, something like that.
Yep, I just put out
on
a beat.
Bandcamp.
Yeah, I put out a beat tape about a week ago. It was a collaboration between me and these guys, Expansions of Q, producers from San Antonio, and I would say probably 85% of that record is this guy through a tape player. through a 4-track machine. So taking really, really nice quality samples and managing to mess them up however I can.
It sounds really great though, and beat tape doesn't really. I think it's more like a awesome record that I listen to all the time. I would drive around with it. It's great though.
Thank
Awesome.
you, man. It's called Ratio. So check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Nicholas T. Semrad.
Yeah, it's if you go to my Instagram or my Bandcamp, which are both Nicholas T. Semrad, all one word, you can pick it up.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys so much. You guys back. You guys are, like I say, you guys are pretty good. You know, you're hired. I'll keep you guys.
They make it easy on me.
Yeah, no, it sounded amazing out here. And so, you know, once again, I'm just Nicholas Semrad and the lesson G code.